handmade motorcycle from Italy with the largest twin engine from the old world, made by hand from a company that's over 100 years old. What's not to like? Stay tuned for a complete in-depth review of this incredible Moto Guzzi MGX-21. It has easily become my favorite motorcycle of all time. Let's do it. Zdravo I dobrodošli, bon dia, bem-vindos, servus, willkommen, buenos dias, bienvenidos, greetings riders, and welcome to another Pegasus Motorcycle Tours and Consulting Review. Coming to you from beautiful San Diego coast, gorgeous Sunday afternoon, and I'm lucky again to be able to present this incredible motorcycle, the Moto Guzzi MGX-21 Flying Fortress, the flagship of the Guzzi line back in 2017 when this bike was offered in the United States for, I think, 2 years only. Incredible motorcycle with a carbon fiber body, the same 1400cc engine that I reviewed when I presented my California Custom, my favorite bike up until this point, one that I regret selling. Just an incredible piece of engineering coming out of northern Italy, again made by hand from Moto Guzzi. The best part of this motorcycle to me is its daily utilitarian value. I mean, this is not only a great looking, very unique motorcycle, but it's a bike you can ride every day. Despite the 21 front inch wheel that might scare some people in the sense that it's a longer, heavier bike, long wheelbase, a lot of weight, around some 760 some pounds, but you don't feel it. I like big bikes. I like the way they push through the wind. We get a lot of wind from the coast. I ride the coast every day. I live by the coast. I love it. And this bike can handle it when you're behind a truck and on the highway. It's just stable, especially with this bat wing kind of front end, very unique bagger style. And everything about the bike is so sleek and beautiful looking. But again, my favorite feature of every Guzzi is the engine. The power plant is a 1380cc air and oil cooled 90-degree V-twin. Their whole lineup almost is this particular engine. I spoke about it when I reviewed the California, the Eldorado, the Audace, the California Custom, the California Touring. All those motorcycles share the same engine, and the Flying Fortress is no exception, but it's amazing how different they feel. Now, I wanted this bike for the longest time simply because of the luggage. The luggage just makes it so much more useful per day. Like every day you need to take it out, you need to go to work, you need to make a meeting. There's stuff you put inside, and I like the luggage because it's lockable. It's useful in that way. We'll talk about it in more detail, but aside from the luggage, you also get the fairing, so you get the wind protection, and that makes the bike a lot more usable every day, right? This is something that I like to try in every situation, and I found that this bike, again, ticks all the right marks. Plenty of technology, everything you need, and nothing you don't, which I really respect about Guzzi. They haven't tried to push tech down your throat that you never really end up using, that just kind of bumps the price. Speaking about the price, I don't think there's a better bike you can get for the money and better range of motorcycles than the Guzzi line. I mean, the amount of value you get for the dollar is incredible. So for example, with this bike, you get obviously ABS, you get 3 ride modes, the Rain, the Veloce, and the Touring. You get tunable traction control as well. It's got an alarm system. This also has Bluetooth enabled capabilities. I've never really used that. I don't listen to the music on my phone. I don't answer phone, my phone on the bike when everything's now in the helmets. You get all that with this bike for pennies on the dollar compared to its competitors. Victory, for example, has a bagger like this, obviously Harley Davidson, but I think this takes the cake just because of the very unique 90-degree transverse V-twin that Guzzi is known for. This motorcycle pushes about 81 horsepower, 77 foot-pounds of torque, but the unique thing is it delivers everything very low. 2,750 RPM is the peak where that torque hits, so you don't have to wind it high. You can enjoy the bike straight off the line, and the smoothness of this engine cannot be overstated. I mean, it's just incredible how much vibration, that sexy, big, muscular vibration you get at the red light when you hit the throttle in idle and it's just pushing to the side, but as soon as you take off, it smooths out and it's this perfect ride down the perfect coast. It's incredible. Speaking of perfect ride by the perfect coast, be sure to check out Pegasus Sidecar Tours. I offer that on a motorcycle with the sidecar, 2-person sidecar. and you can enjoy this coast. It's my favorite stretch of land right here. I mean, it's just a beautiful way to do it. If you're in California, check us out, PegasusSidecarTours.com. Stay tuned for franchise opportunities as well. We're looking to expand, but I digress. So this bagger, it feels like you're driving just a hot rod. It's an incredibly feeling and sounding machine. And this exhaust is stock, but it's been gutted. And the way it sounds, it's like a big Chevy V8, you know? It's just a monstrous thing that rumbles down the street, and it demands attention. Just passed by a motorcycle cop, and he totally twisted his neck, you know, when I was coming out of the street perpendicular to him. He couldn't help it. It's that kind of a sight to behold. Obviously, the carbon fiber body, real by the way, not just for show, is very attention grabbing. I mean, you don't have any other motorcycle in this bagger category that's carbon fiber. Obviously, it's lighter, it's more robust. Carbon fiber just has a quality of its own, and married with this front wheel that's very unique, and it's got the two carbon fiber plates. It's just a very, very unique look, and especially the red accents. I mean, what is the red? The color of strip clubs that gets the blood running, you know? So I love these little red accents on the Guzzi. I wish they included the Guzzi wheel strips that the California Custom had. I think that would have added just a little touch down to the bottom of a very classy taste, but I can add that. I actually bought some from AF1. No affiliation. This is an unsponsored channel, as you know. I buy all my bikes and I buy all my equipment, and I'm gonna stick those on because I think they would add a lot of nice looks. But you got a 21 front inch wheel. The MGX-21 name refers to that it's a 21 front inch wheel, and of course that changes the dimensions of the bike, the way it feels in corners. I love it. I'm a fan. I have another custom bagger from American Eagle, another review I've done on this channel. It's a company that used to produce really, really high-end choppers here in Southern California, and it's got a 21 front end with Harley bags. I love that feel. I like sitting back and the big wheel being in front of me. Some people don't like it. I had a buddy hop on his bike for the weekend. He wanted to take it to the mountains, and it just sat in his garage. He took it home and he did not quite feel the way he wanted to feel. To get you some sense of his attitude, he rides a 700 Tenere, so it's a very different experience. This is very much a stretched out bagger, 760 pounds of weight that you're carrying with you. So it's got a little heft to it, and you got to be comfortable with controlling it. But especially in comparison to my custom bagger, this is a joy to ride. That thing is scary. I mean, it still scares me to this day. This bike I can ride hard. There are some limitations, and we'll speak to those, but first let me tell you everything I like about this bike. So we spoke about the motor. The motor is incredible, very easy to work on. When you take these plates off, you can do the valve clearance yourself. It doesn't require a lot, and Guzzis have always been known for longevity, for ease of maintenance. That's why in the 70s the LAPD rode Guzzis. Pretty incredible, right? And they sent one of their own in Mandello di Lario, northern Italy, on Lake Como, where these bikes are still being made, and in a day they built them a custom police unit. So, and they switched from Harleys to Guzzis. Pretty incredible story. I speak more when I review the California. The 29-inch height of the seat is fantastic, fits anybody. I'm 5'8", 172 centimeters, and this is one of the most comfortable seats I've ever sat on. You get to the battery by removing the back and the front of the seat. This particular unit has a backrest for the passenger by an aftermarket manufacturer called Isotta. Isotta from Italy. They also make this extended windscreen. One of the main complaints I get from other owners, which are far and few in between, is that the wind protection is not so adequate from the stock windscreen that kind of hugs the curves of the Speedo. Now, that might be true if you're very tall. For me, it's not an issue. I don't get too much catch on my helmet. But of course, the extender helps a lot, and there's another third version that's a little taller. So that can be mitigated if that's an issue. But you do get this incredibly beautiful bat wing front end that operates on a little gas pressure cylinder thing that when you need to access the front end to change your light bulb, for example, takes 2 bolts just to swing that forward, and it's controlled, it's connected, and that's where it stays while you're working on the bike. It's a very smart design. I love how Guzzi makes it easy to work on the bike, even for simple jobs like that. Again, the ride modes are Veloce, the speed mode, pretty crazy. The Pioggia, which is rain mode, that tunes everything down, makes the rear wheel a lot more reliable, a lot more controllable. And the Turismo mode, the touring mode, which is where you're probably going to be most days. What I like about these modes is they're actually very useful. I use them, I switch them around. They're not just there for looks, you know, for features, to increase the cost of the bike. They're very well tuned to make them that much more useful, as opposed, for example, to my Super Tenere, which had these features, but the speed mode was very twitchy, the slow mode was too slow, so you're always in the middle. So what's the point of the other ones then? This is very intelligent. You get 4 traction control mode, the Moto Guzzi Controle Trazione. It's very easily manipulable while you're riding. Actually, you can manipulate some of this, especially the ride modes, by hitting the starter button, which is kind of an unintuitive, not like other bikes. And one thing I noticed about the traction control, it actually kicks in kind of quick in the upmost option of it. It's kind of disruptive. I like to keep it low or off, and you can turn it off completely so that the governor doesn't kick in so soon. It redlines at 7,000 RPM. It goes up to 9,000 RPM, so it doesn't scream like some of the other sport bikes that you might be used to, but it does redline kind of early. But again, you get all that torque down low. You never really need to be up there with it, so I like that about it. It has those ride modes because it rides on a throttle by wire, so everything is computer controlled. It's not the traditional way of pulling the throttle and a wire connecting everything. So it's kind of it's not my favorite part of the Guzzi, I gotta say. It's gotta happen so you can have those ride modes. But I found on the California in particular, the throttle control to be very, very soft, very light, too light. You sneeze in it and the thing wants to take off. So here I had to add a little bit of traction for it so that it doesn't rotate so lightly, so that you have some heft to it, you know. Speaking of heft, the clutch is a little strong. I went rock climbing the other day, and then, you know, my forearms are screaming, and it's kind of laborious to be playing with that clutch. So that's another thing that you kind of have to work on with this bike. But other than that, the ride is just so beautiful. It's the bike that I always want to hop on. I helped a buddy pick up a brand new Harley Street Glide. Street Glide. And honestly, it's a beautiful bike to look at, but this is so much more refined, and nothing would make me want to ride that bike over this one on any particular day, especially not to a Harley convention, because this is always the most unique motorcycle on the parking lot. I mean, it's just so special, so beautiful. Even after 24,000 miles living in the California sun and the salty mist, the carbon fiber is barely showing any age or signs of age. There are some where it's pale and you can actually see a square piece of, I guess, layering, but under certain angles it's nothing obnoxious, or it definitely ages better than paint would in these environments. So I like that part a lot. Of course, you can change the sides here. There's chrome, there's all kinds of different options, because all this is straight from the California line, the Eldorado line, etc. It's a 5.1 gallon, I think 20 some liter gas tank, and you're getting just under 40 miles a gallon depending on how you ride, of course. I tend to ride pretty rough with this bike. I like to really gun it, and it's a bike that asks for it, especially because this incredible exhaust is so throaty. I can't believe how quiet the standard exhaust is, the original exhaust. This is, of course, original, but it's been gutted, and it just sounds so different. And of course, if you take this to a Guzzi tech and he gets in there and manipulates the ECU, this thing becomes a total monster. The California that I sold to a gentleman up the coast said he did that, and in Veloce mode it almost became unrideable how aggressive this bike can be. So another thing to love about the Guzzi is it can change over time. Again, 24,000 miles, you would never know. It rides like a champ. Never had any issues with this bike. And in fact, the only reason why I would change it is for another one that's maybe lower miles. You can pick these bikes up for $12,000, $13,000 with $1,000 of miles on them, 2,000 miles, 3,000 miles, which is nothing. So it's really a bargain for the amount of bike that you get. 200 millimeter rear tire, but kind of fat, but totally maneuverable. Very, very beautiful, beautiful ride. In the front, you get the plated carbon fiber aesthetics of this feature right here. It's a love and hate kind of relationship with that, because it catches a lot of wind, and especially if you are behind a truck and you're getting that disruptive wind behind it, or if you're going 90 miles an hour or something, and especially here by the coast, it doesn't allow the wind to travel through as much as I would like. So a lot of people end up removing that. That would be the biggest gripe of this bike. If you're new to it and you get on it, the highway, 90 miles an hour, it'll feel a little, maybe less than stable compared to what you might be used to. So I'm comfortable with it, but I would bet to say that not a lot of people would be. So a few bolts, just remove that whole thing out. You have a regular kind of rim. Nothing too beautiful in that regard, but I'm keeping that on. I don't mind that at all. Speaking of the front, the Brembo brakes work fantastic. It's one of the best things about Guzzi's. Their brakes are superb. I mean, the braking power on a big motorcycle like this is incredibly important, that you feel comfortable enough to control this motorcycle in situations that might be less than optimal. This bike does it beautifully, and of course it does have ABS, so you get that safety feature as well. But the brakes on this bike are second to none. That was the case with my California Custom as well. The Speedo is beautiful on this bike. It's shared with the California. It's got a beautiful chrome bezel around the circular speedometer, and the tach is analog with a digital screen in the front. The left is a analog speedometer with another digital speed that controls the audio and the Bluetooth, so it's kind of interesting. In the middle here, you do get a power cable for a USB, also very useful. The controls on the bike are beautiful. I mean, they really feel very, very well done. On the right side, you get emergency lights, you get daylight running lights as well. This is a European thing. When I first got my California, I was riding it back at night, and I could not figure out why my gauges weren't lit up, but that all has to do with this button right here. And I think in the California it's actually hidden forward, so it's hard to find. The starter button as well is how you manipulate the different ride modes while you're riding. As long as you're off the throttle, you hit that button, you hold it for a second, and it'll highlight the ride mode that you're in, and you could just switch through it. It's a little confusing because there is a mode button as well, but that's what you use to go through the menu, change the different traction control modes, etc. Now, the cruise control is one of my favorite things on the bike. The cruise control is so accurate and so positive and so immediate. It's really easy to use. Not every bike is like this. Sometimes it just sets you back maybe a mile or two per hour, and it's very annoying because then you have to adjust it. This is just where it should be. On the left side, you have a mute button, and you also have a volume button as well as a changing button for the channel for the 50-watt AM FM radio, and Bluetooth that you can connect on your phone from. So it's kind of nice that they provide you with the charger cable / USB audio cable here, and with the RAM mount that comes out of the stem, it's centrally located where it needs to be. But everything's out of the way, everything's kind of hidden, and I like that part of it very much. Interesting to note, when you own a Guzzi, especially one that's no longer in production, when I bought this bike, it was missing a speaker grill, which is beautiful. It's kind of bent to match the shapes of the dual tweeter and the speaker, embossed by a chrome, how do you call that, frame. And I could not find it. I couldn't find it even in Italy. I had my sister who lives in northern Italy try to find it and bring me one, and she couldn't find it. It was listed at over $100, but they just had nothing in stock. So I went to a car audio shop. They gave me a piece of speaker and I cut it, you know, in the shape, and it looks as good as stock. So it's kind of nice. So there's that. What else? The 58-liter bags. I think what makes this bike that much more useful. Lockable, of course, not removable. When you open the bags, they also come with an interior liner. I don't like the way that they open down as opposed to the touring version of the California. They open this way, which I also don't like, because then you can't access it. If the hinge is on this side, not only can you see it, and it's not as attractive, but when you open the top this way, then you can't access it from the seat if you need to put your phone or access something at a red light, for example. This is not usable at a red light at all, and you have to watch how that things don't spill. But bags nonetheless, right? That's what you pay for, to have this sleek design. My favorite design is the Harley bag, of course, that I have on my other custom, and it's basically, it opens this way, so the hinge is hidden underneath here basically, and it's accessible when you're seated, and it's just a nicer, cleaner look. I speak about this when I review the California touring version, where the bags feel kind of flimsy and flexible and all that. No flex in these bags. I really like them, but I do wish that the closure line was a little tighter. I'm a huge fan of how this bike is brought to an end with the beautiful LED brake lights. I think it looks nice, it sits nice. And this particular backrest, although it steals from the sleek line of the bagger, it's very useful because this is where I put my backpack. It's a sissy bar bag. It's made by Vikings up the road in Los Angeles County. It's called the Viking Tactical Sissy Bar Bag, and it's been very useful for me to just be able to put it here. And then it also provides me with a place to lock my helmet with the helmet lock. Keeps the people honest. It's nothing too beefy, but at least I don't have to carry it. I can put my jacket in there, put my lunch and my chaps in there, and have my backpack to carry around. So I like that part. I'm a huge fan of the Gold Wings. Of course, my whole business is based off of Gold Wings, the sidecar tour business. We're also offering Gold Wing only tours, PegasusMotorcycleTours.com. Check that out. So I love the Gold Wing, and the 40 plus gallons of storage space that it allows just make that bike so much more usable for the day-to-day. When you don't have the top case, obviously you are sacrificing a lot of storage capacity, but with this little Isetta backrest, it allows you to carry that backpack. It's a very, very good setup, and it looks kind of good too, to be honest. Another thing I'm not a huge fan of is the fact that you kind of have to hold the cap when you take it off. Nothing keeps it in place. It makes it easier to use containers if you're filling it in your garage, because the container kind of sits on top. It doesn't push on anything, but other than that, you do have to kind of let it roll on the seat, and it drips, and not a huge fan of that particular part. I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about this particular Guzzi. The stance for me is perfect. I'm very comfortable. I wish the controls were blacked out. I think it would fit the bike a little more. And honestly, on the California, they provide you with floating foot boards, which isolate all the vibration and just make that so much more comfortable. Here you don't get the boards, you get the rubber mounted foot pegs, basically same ones as the passenger has, but that's okay. I mean, it's just a small grudge. It's nothing really that would make or break the bike. And you get controlled here, a twist turn knob for the preload on the rear suspension. The suspension handles like a dream. I've never had the need to mess with it. I ride it solo on this bike. The wife won't get on it anymore since baby number 2 came along. She thinks it's not advisable, and she's probably right, for both of us to be on the bike. The lights are gorgeous. I love this front headlight. It's the same headlight that's shared between the California Touring, the Custom, the I believe Eldorado. The Audace is round, that's the difference, but this headlight is very beautiful. And again, it has the running daylight on the side, LEDs, and the light bulb itself is very easy to replace. 58, I believe, millimeter Magneti Marelli throttle bodies that deliver the power on this. 96 horsepower, 89 foot-pounds of torque, monster of an engine. I just love this motorcycle. So there it is. I hope this has been an informative review. If you ever have a chance to ride one, please do. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at what Guzzi has to offer in their lineup. Of course, everybody's been very excited about the Mandello model that's been just offered, announced just a few days ago. It's now November 2023, and the bike looks gorgeous. Of course, I've been on the market for the adventure model of it, the V85 TT, another gorgeous motorcycle that's also very, very capable on dirt. And I'm actually very tempted to make my whole fleet on our tours Guzzi, because they're exotic, they're capable, they're beautiful, they're easy to work on. And again, the money goes far. You can buy these bikes for a very, very good price with everything you could possibly need, including the aluminum luggage, for honestly a fraction of the price that you'll pay for a similar bike for other brands. So I always like value for the money, of course. Speaking of tours, check out our highlights of our Eastern Sierra tour. We just came back from that. It was awesome. We're going to be offering that twice a year, in the spring and in the fall, private guided tour. And another way you can support the independence of this channel, since we do not do sponsorships, we like to buy our motorcycles, and I like to own them before I review them. I'm launching a new product that's going to be very useful to you, hopefully, and anybody, a young professional in your life. I'm launching a planner. It's called the Pegasus Planner. ThePegasusPlanner.com is the website, and it's a planner specifically catering to the needs of men. I never could find anything that could actually fit my needs, so I made one, and it's a beautiful hardcover planner, 6 months, and in it you have inspirational quotes, you have ways to keep you on track and to keep you focused, to identify your goals, because once you put your goals on paper, black on white, they become part of the physical world. They stamp in your subconscious and become that much more achievable, that much more real. So I've created this planner, and then I put it in a beautiful leather case that has everything you need, all the little tools that I use every day, like a comb, because I'm a biker, I'm always disheveled, right? So you have a little metal mirror, you have cologne, there is a little pill box that stores my earplugs so they don't have to be in my pocket, and mints and pills if you've got a headache and that kind of thing. So it's a very, very useful planner. Wet naps that I use every day, right? When you're sweaty from the bike and you have a meeting and in 2 minutes on Zoom, so you want to be looking good, feeling good. And I created this thing, and I want to offer it to you because I think it's, one, beautiful, handmade here locally by an amazing artist, a leather worker, and two, it's just a way you could support the channel by also making yourself a lot more efficient, productive, and the best version of yourself. Please check us out at thepegasusplanner.com, and thank you for supporting the independence of this channel and my endeavor here at Pegasus Motorcycle Tours and Consulting. Thank you for being the best part of this channel, and ride safe. Till next time, Nick, I'm out.